Hi friends, I'm back to talk to you about a case that I found very interesting back when I talked about it because it stemmed from Michael Tate. You remember the Michael Tate scandal, and then the next thing, it was Wes Campbell, the owner of Newsboys. He was in the news quite a bit, and the Roy's Report they have several articles on the matter. And then at the end of June, there was an article about an individual by the name of Randall Shrum, who filed a lawsuit in federal courts, a civil lawsuit, against Wes Campbell, his parents, and other members of his family. I talked about it. I'm going to link it here because I'm just going to go over it very briefly just to remind you what this is about so that you understand what I'm going to be talking about today. All right? Before I get there, let me just say this. Yes, I am going to be picking apart a Roy's Report article. It is what it is. If I see something that I just don't agree with, I'm going to tell you. That's just how I roll. Yes, I have people that I obviously align myself with. I do believe that the Roy's Report is a good publication. I am troubled though, and I have to say it in that way, because, and it's not like I'm just coming on here and doing this. Believe me, I prayed about it. I've talked about it. I've thought about it. I've processed it. And I've even reached out to the writer of the article that I'm going to be talking about. And I've reached out to the Roy's Report. And let me just double check right now, because perhaps there was an email that has come in. No. So as of the making of this video, I have not received a response back. It is what it is. So let's get into it, right? All right, there was a lawsuit filed. There was 9 counts against the Campbells, essentially, right? There's 2 other people. Harrison's are their last name, 2 other people. But essentially, it's this Campbell family. Wes Campbell is the owner of the Newsboys. Randall Shrum, he was a part of this church called Hilltop Church that Wes Campbell's parents co-founded. And the rift began when the daughter of Colin and Nancy Campbell, which would be Wes's sister, there was an issue with the daughter, and the board members were trying to address it, but Colin refused to do so, and they were trying to do it in a biblical or scriptural way, right? And that is alleged in the complaint. All the counts are alleged in the complaint. There's defamation that Randall Shrum has alleged. There's harassment, trespass, intentional and infliction of emotional distress, false light, obstruction of justice, obstruction of their rights to assemble, things of this matter, right? So there's 9 counts, and each of the counts he is asking for $200,000 in damages for each count and $400,000 in punitive damages. That's how I read it. So it comes to $5.4 million. The reason I say that is because in this new report, July 22nd article by Jessica Morris, who is writing for the Roy's Report, this article, and I'm going to link it here. So my first video is going to be linked here. This article is going to be linked here. It is titled, "Campbell Family with Ties to Newsboys Fires Back at the Pastor Suing Them." Okay, so in my previous video, I talk about the pleading, the complaint that was filed by Randall Shrum. I went through it. All right, I'm not going to go through it again, but it's those counts that I told you about. And so in the first article by Jessica Morris, which was at the end of June, and I'll link that here too, because you can look at the earlier article, you can look at the latter article that was just issued 2 days ago. They're very different. The first one, it attached and linked to the complaint, which contains all the information, 37 pages of the complaint that was filed by Randall Shrum's attorneys. Randall Shrum has 3 attorneys. They are, get the name of the law firm again, because I looked them up. Spencer Fain. You guys are going to think this is funny. So when I looked them up today, I had looked them up before when I did that first video, but I didn't look at where they're located. But it's a large firm. And so when I looked them up again today, I found they have offices in a lot of cities including Tampa, where I'm located. So I was curious, oh, where? In my building. Same address as me. So that was kind of funny. All right, so on the other side of it, Wes Campbell, apparently he has his own attorney. I don't know who that is because his attorney hasn't filed anything on his behalf yet that I could see. But this July 22nd article, which came out 2 days ago, but I didn't read it until yesterday morning, which was July 23rd. And I can tell you I was processing it. I was very shocked to see it. I'll tell you why in a bit. Just the content of it, yeah. And interestingly, it appears that this article of July 22nd was written because of this motion that I had to get on my own, by the way, because it wasn't linked here. Again, the earlier article linked the pleading, the complaint that files the lawsuit. This July 22nd, 2025 article, which references this motion and talks about it, but doesn't really talk about it, doesn't link to it. By the way, pleading, 37 pages. Motion, 7 pages. Now let's get to the attorney on the other side, who represents 7 of those 8 defendants, because remember, Wes has his own attorney. So this one individual attorney, his name is Klein Preston. I looked him up. He's in Nashville. According to his website, it looks like he's a one-man show. One attorney representing 6. 3 attorneys representing 1, Randall Schramm, the plaintiff. Okay. Is that a big deal? I don't know, could be. But I do see that the 3 attorneys that represent the plaintiff, I don't know these people. I'm just telling you what I'm looking at. I look at this stuff because I'm an attorney. So they're part of a very large firm. They have a lot of practice areas. If you look at a law firm's website, it'll tell you the practice areas that they practice in, and it appears that they have a lot of experience in federal court. Then when I looked at the defendant's attorney, he only had like 5 or 6 areas of law that he practices, and I couldn't tell right away if he's done any federal court. Probably has, but it didn't come up right away, like in your face. In any event, let's get to this article and why we're here. Let me just say this before I get to that. Sorry. When I started here, I started with Daystar, then, I was highlighted the Cassis and Faith Life Church. So I began talking about that, and you guys know, if you've been following me, I've talked about that a lot, and I'm following that criminal case against Tom Cassis, and I plan on going to that jury trial and reporting from it. While I am researching cases so that I can talk about them on videos, I've only had 2 times where it was really highlighted, and it was Faith Life Church, and now this one. I don't know these people, but after this article that came out that I read yesterday, it was 100%. I knew that I was supposed to talk about it. I think that there's something there. I think that the manner in which, just the content of this article, how it's written, what it says, what it doesn't say, it got my attention, and I think it will continue to have my attention, because this is going to be something that I perceive is going to develop into something. So let's start off with this. You tell me, if you're reading an article by a journalist and one of their first sentences is something like this: new allegations have surfaced accusing the pastor Randall Schramm and his wife of abusing their adopted son Ryan Schramm. Do you think that if that statement's in there, that maybe perhaps that's true, right? So I knew from reading the complaint that Randall Schramm has said that the defendants are accusing him of abusing their kids, because in the complaint it talks about the cops being called in the middle of the night, bringing the cops to the middle of the night, not during the day, middle of the night, to the Shrum family residence, scaring the wife, pregnant, scaring the kids, and interrogating them because somebody called in a complaint saying that he's abusing his children. So the importance of what I just read is because later, much later, at the end of the article, there is a corrections section that is not written in the same type. It's italicized, and one could certainly gloss over it. Some people don't even read that area. But I went to it, and in the middle of it, and we clarified that Ryan is Randy Shrum's adoptive son, and that the abuse that prompted Ryan's removal from his home involved his biological parents and not the Shrums. So let me just first say this. I'm detail oriented. I'm an attorney. You started off that sentence by referring to Randall Shrum, and you said that he's been accused of abusing his son, Ryan Shrum. But then later you refer to him as Randy Shrum. It's confusing. There's a lot of R's. There's Ryan, there's Randy, there's Randall. Randall and Randy are the same person. Doesn't clarify that, but that might be a minute point, but to me it's something. And the fact that you did not remove that first sentence, and after finding and correcting that there was no abuse of him by the Shrums, by Randall and his wife. You've corrected that, but you didn't correct it in the front, in the second sentence. The first paragraph has that statement. That's inflammatory. That could be defamation, and at the very least, false light. But it shows up again. About 4 or 5 paragraphs, it says again, details have emerged showing that Shrum's oldest child, Ryan Shrum, accused Randall and his wife of abusing him. Okay, where are those details? Where's the reference? Because if you look at her other article, again, you see the links. That's how they do it in these articles. They'll put the links of their source, but it's not so in this case, in this article. There's no links. There's no links to anything that would support that. So is this a situation of tell me that you're getting your information from the defendants without telling me that you're getting your information from the defendants? Is that what's going on here? Because it references quotes by Randall in this subsequent article from July 22nd, but it doesn't have any quotes from anyone else. But there's a whole bunch of information. Where did you get it from? You don't reference the motion. So let's just go to that. I have an issue with this. So it says the Campbells have hit back, they're the defendants, against all 9 counts that were asserted by the plaintiff, Randall Shrum. It says, in a motion for dismissal representing all named defendants except for Wes Campbell, the family punches holes in Shrum's case. Again, if you're reading an article by an investigative journalist, aren't you looking for those links, or at least cite what it is, or link the motion, or detail what those holes are in Shrum's case? Nothing, nada, zip, zero, not there whatsoever. Nothing. It's just not there. So I have an issue with that. So then it goes on and it talks about Ryan Shrum, and in the article, what do you know? They just reached out to me. All right, let's see. Okay, so Sarah Einselen, Einselen, says, "Hi Vanessa, thanks for reaching out. Can you be more specific as to which parts of the article might be inaccurate? I don't know if you've seen that we've published a correction." All right, I already know the correction, and let's just see what they sent me. It's exactly what I already wrote. what I already read to you. So it's not any different. So they're asking me for specifics. But interestingly, because I started this out saying they haven't responded, but they have. So I'm glad that that has happened, and I will reach out after I'm done with this, and I'm going to tell them, watch my video. So, no, I will respond. Okay. So instead of asserting where you're getting this information from, detailing it, it talks about Ryan, and that's the adopted son, which you've already concluded was not abused by the Shrums. And they added a picture of Ryan, not on a family vacation. No, it's his booking photo. It's his booking photo because he's been arrested. And why? I mean, why would you do that? I just don't understand it. Maybe you guys can explain. Maybe you guys see the relevance of putting that in there and talking about the children. So they're talking about the children of Randall Shrum. And another area that I believe is concerning to me is that they're referring to the children, and it says, photos of Shrum's 7 other children often appear on his social media and occasional promotional material. 4 boys aged 13 to 21 and 2 girls who live out of the home and a 9-year-old daughter. His oldest daughters have not appeared in family photos since 2017, with one making a brief appearance in 2024, hinting at yet another possible estrangement with a child. Do you see my concern with that? Why is it in there? Why is that hinting at yet another possible estrangement? You know, I get it. People write reports, even on, make videos, and it's trying to incite. But if you put that in there, hinting at yet another possible estrangement, you mean because photos are not available of family that maybe they're just not in communication with because they live far away? I don't know. But that hints at estrangement. If you're getting your information from somebody that is telling you that the child is estranged, why don't you put that in there? Put that in there and quote the person, right? Quote the person. And then it goes on talking about this father-son camp, and it refers to it as a business venture. I looked it up. Looks like a ministry of some sort for boys and men to attend, all, weekend trapping, shooting, things like that. Just doesn't sit right with me. So the end of it is really problematic. First of all, it talks about punching holes, but you never go through what holes are punched through this 37-page complaint, chock full of evidence and allegations. You never tell your viewers, your readers, what this motion to dismiss is all about. I've read it. I mean, it's just the typical motion to dismiss. It's something that it's you typically see it. It talks about, it's just saying, oh, they don't make out their claims, their factual averments are insufficient, is essentially. But we do this all the time as lawyers. That's what they do. But it doesn't have any teeth to it. It just says, oh, there's nothing that supports it. But it does, because a complaint has to have facts to support it. And essentially, they're just trying to kick it, this attorney's trying to kick it to state court. And that's it. I reviewed it. It's not anything impressive to me. That's my opinion. And I stick by my opinion. So let's go back to the article and what my other concern is. So, interestingly, it says Nancy Campbell was approached by TRR for this story and declined to comment on record. Well, why didn't you include the other people that you spoke with to generate this article? Because clearly you spoke to somebody. There's all kinds of information in here talking about an accident by another son, Nolan, who was supervised at the time of the accident. He was his legs were rode over by a skid steer, I mean, just the flavor of it. It's alleging that the Shrums are not good parents. Is that what you're saying? I don't know. I don't know. Really left in the dark here as to what it is you're trying to say, and I'm left with questions. And why is this so different from your other article where you did have cites and you did have evidence to back it up, but this one doesn't? So if you're getting your information from the defendants, why not cite that source if that's the case? That's what it looks like to me. I don't think that putting corrections at the end and clarifying that the adoptive son was not abused by the Shrums is appropriate to put at the end. That's just my opinion. If that's how investigative journalists do it, well, I don't know. I mean, I can't answer that. I'm not a professional investigative journalist. I'm a lawyer. In my opinion, if you do it that way, you're opening yourself up for liability. That's all I do all day long. I look for liability. What could this be an area? I mean, this is what I do in my practice. Is this an area where somebody could sue? Is this an area where somebody could sue? That's my focus. That's my perspective. And if you think that that's good enough, okay, then maybe it is, but I don't know. I think that perhaps an attorney or two might disagree with that. So just in my opinion, I just did not think that there was anything in this article that punched holes in that complaint. Why does this concern me? Good question. I think that there is something going on here that's really strange. I think that a family operating a church, acting like the mafia, is concerning, according to the complaint. That's the behavior that's outlined in the complaint that was filed recently. So that's what caught my attention when I initially made that video 2 weeks ago. The behavior, we're seeing that in churches with SA, spiritual abuse, inappropriate relationships. Well, now we're seeing obstruction, defamation. Oh, we see that too. Defamation, harassment. I guess, it just, the things that are going on in the world are also going on in the church. I mean, we have to accept that. That is what's going on. Is it something that we want to see in the church? No. Some people are going to say, well, Christians shouldn't sue each other. Well, that could be your position, but when you have a situation, after I read this complaint by Randall Shrum's attorneys, there are some I would do the same exact thing based upon the facts that are contained in it. I would have no other choice because I'd have to protect my family. I'd have to preserve my ability to do life because you're being harassed by people that refuse to allow you, according to the complaint, to live life, to attend a church, to gather with people, to live on your property. They had to move. The wife was pregnant and they're being harassed. So I certainly look forward to anything that comes out in discovery. Of course, I am going to be following this case, and this is my invite to any of you out there, because I did this with Faith Life Church and people responded. I spoke to a lot of people who used to go to that church, and I think that this is a case that I am very interested in. Let's see what happens. If you are somebody that knows anything about this case, about the people that are involved, you used to go to the church perhaps, because the split happened after the ruckus at the church where the family members came in and started threatening, according to the complaint, threatening all the people, and that's when people decided to leave the church. I would love to speak to anybody that was a part of that. If you would like to reach out to me, you can reach me by email vjohnson@77alpha.com. So please reach out to me. I would be interested in hearing what you have to say. And I anticipate that there is going to be an update to this. So I look forward to if you already read the article before watching my video, let me know. If you're going to read the articles, I'm going to link both so that you can compare them. And I'm going to link my video. Let me know your thoughts on this. And I look forward to reading your comments. See you soon.